Here are 15 facts you need to know or didn't know about common musk turtles, also known as stinkpot turtles. Stinkpot turtles grow to 6 inches maximum. In the aquarium, they stay about 4.5 inches. In the wild, they live in slow-moving waters because they themselves are pretty slow. I chose a 30-gallon breeder. I think that's a good minimum size for them. It's a 36 by 18 by 12 inch tank. If not, you can go with a 40 breeder. But even with a 30-gallon breeder, and we filled it up about halfway, it's easier for them to come up for air. I don't have a heater in this tank because my house stays constantly at 76 to 78 degrees. So if your house is cold, you do need a heater. Currently run an AquaCare 50. It's a hang-on back filter. The reason I chose it is because it's easier to clean the contents during water changes and just clean it in old water taken out. Like all reptiles, they do need a UVB and heat lamp. Try to change them out every 10 months to 12 months. They bask more often after 2 inches. They don't bask as much before 2 inches, and usually they bask when you're not looking. When you're around, they're usually in front of the tank trying to get your attention for food. So you need these lamps. They need vitamin D. So please have both of them ready. Buy some extra bulbs. For substrates, you have a choice between bare bottom, sand, or gravel. I go with gravel. Make sure it's big so that it doesn't fit in their mouth. If it's too small, it's going to cause compaction. It's not good for the health of the turtles. Sand is great because it just passes right through. Bare bottom doesn't look natural, but easy to clean. You could also mix big gravel and sand for a nice aquascape. That's another route that you should take. People will tell you that you can put planted gravel underneath the sand and you can cover it, but eventually the turtles are going to dig it out and they're going to fit that in their mouth. So big gravel's Number 6, you do need a chlorine and chloramine neutralizer. I use this every time I do water changes. For my tank at 30 gallon, I do about 5 gallons a week. Once a month, I do a thorough cleaning throughout the tank. 25% to 50% would be the ideal amount of water changes you should be doing. Turtles are scavengers. Like I said, they're fairly slow. They scavenge a lot. They'll eat plants. Every plant that you throw in there, I had Amazon swords, Anubias cana, Anubias barteri, I had Java fern, I have hornwort in there, and they're tearing even that apart. The only plant that they leave alone is the Amazon swords, but Amazon swords require root tabs, and the stinkpots will actually dig through the substrate to get these root tabs. So what I do is I put plants in a container. I put the gravel in the container. I drill a hole in it, put the plant there, and put root tabs there, and then surround it with rocks. That's the only way that I personally found to be safe for turtles, so that gravel doesn't mix with the sand and that they wouldn't dig through the root tabs. Number 8, for food, the typical reptileman at this size, I feed about 3 of them. I rotate between freeze-dried river shrimp and freeze-dried mealworms, and I also have freshwater tanks where I can supplement them with snails. Sometimes I give them insects, feed them vegetables and fruits, but usually they don't touch that before 1.5 to 2 years of age. So when feeding reptilemen or dried food, use a tweezer. Try to feed them with the tweezer by hand because it keeps the tank clean. You don't want leftover food all over your tank. If you siphon it out, it doesn't matter, but try to hand feed them. So the only plant that I found compatible was Amazon sword and water lettuce or frog bits. Those two are the only plants that usually they leave alone and not feed. Stinkpot turtles are called stinkpots because they stink. They give off this yellow, orangish type of liquid called phenol alkylinic acid. They smell really bad. You might need a gas mask. I'm just kidding. But when you handle them, when they get startled, they tend to give off this smell. This behavior doesn't go away. You might think that just because they're used to you and they're in front of the tank and they're trying to ask for food and stuff, that you can just pick them up. This is an ongoing thing, so careful when you handle them. Number 12. This one's very important because keep the driftwood and the rocks away from the edge of your tank. These are notorious for jumping out of your tank. They climb and they hit the floor. They might get injured, obviously. Over the summer, I was in South Korea for about 3 months, and my wife called one day, and while she was taking care of the tank, she told me that one of the turtles was missing. Apparently when she was doing water changes, the driftwood kind of got too close to the rim of the tank, and then these turtles, even in the wild, are notorious for climbing. So apparently it jumped out of the tank. I don't know how it survived the fall, and on top of that, it was missing for 5 days. And then one day she just decided to check under a glass cabinet in our living room, and mind you, this tank is in our dining room. And after 5 days, it was found. The turtle was crusted with white stuff all over its face. It survived without food and water. There were no particular health issues, but this is not something you want to go through, so keep the driftwood and the rocks away from the edge of your tank. I mean the rim of your tank. Tip number 13, when you're rockscaping, please block all the crevices with a smaller rock so that they don't squeeze their shells and get stuck in there. Number 14, they're compatible with just about any fast-moving fish. But with that said, I have a pleco in there. Initially, when I put the pleco in there with the turtles were kind of curious to know what it was, and they kind of pecked on him a little bit. But after a while, somehow they kind of created a symbiotic relationship where I saw the pleco cleaning out the shell of the turtle, and the turtle was just staying still. And to this day, their shells are very clean and algae-free. 15 is about handling your stink pot. If you're going to observe your turtle, please do it low on the ground. Do not hold it up high. I had a family member who was a pet person who thought she knew all about pets, held it up, and I told her to keep it low on the ground. She didn't listen, and she dropped him. There was no health issues, and the turtle was fine. But if you're going to observe them, keep it low on the ground. Do it on the floor. Do not hold them up high. I forgot to mention that you do need an aquarium pump for these turtles. As with most turtle tanks, you do need them because you do not want stale water. It's going to get bugs in there and it's going to get disgusting, so please get an aquarium pump. That about wraps up the 15 facts and information on the stinkpot turtles. Soon I'm going to be making a video on how to set up a tank for these turtles, because every month I have to do a complete water change and cleaning anyway. Thank you for watching, and my website will be coming up soon.